Hello and welcome to the podcast. Joined today with my buddy Phil Nichols. I'm Chris Evans, and some exciting news for the city of Guthrie as intersections in our downtown area will begin construction around July 14th. There are 3 intersections. We'll get into those here in just a second, but city staff thinking ahead. It won't be 3 intersections at one time, it'll be 1 intersection at a time.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and a few comments as well that we have seen with this idea here. But the intersections, and we'll take a look at each one of them here in just a second, will feature Oklahoma and Wentz, Oklahoma and First Street, and Harrison and First Street. And for full transparency, we were part of the CIP committee, now the oversight committee. So we had some discussions on how the sales tax money should be spent on like this project being funded by that, along with ball fields, swimming pool, water lines, sewer lines. Fire department. So this is one of the big ones that, in fact, I remember in those committee meetings, this was kind of one that you kind of bullseyed on.
Well, I just think we have this beautiful downtown area, and we have many guests that come to our community, and we have many of our fellow citizens that aren't as mobile as they once were, or perhaps have, like your sister, Rhonda, is in an electronic chair. And, we need to make our community as ADA accessible as possible. I mean, to me, it's like breathing air, right? I mean, you've got to have, we've got to welcome everybody to our community. And it's one of those topics, I think, unless you're personally touched by it, you probably don't think about it every day.
Well, it's not it's a wheelchair is a big part of it, but hearing.
Just everything.
And then also baby strollers.
Baby strollers, but I think of the elderly.
Yeah.
If you have to use a walker or if a cane or whatever the case may be, some of these curbs, when they were put in years ago, I mean, it's almost impossible for folks to just walk. Yeah,
and where there's brick, we'll see it here in a second, where there's brick, there will be brick. So you have a downtown like we have here in Guthrie, you want to be walkable for everybody.
Well, walkability is part of our master plan.
It's a big deal.
I mean, it's a big part of where many small communities and communities in whole are going to, where there's more walking involved. And when you have population growth, more vehicles, what are you going to do? Come tear down part of downtown to build more parking? I mean, walkability has to become more of a reality for everybody, and to do that, we got to make sure things are ADA compliant.
And let's take a look at the first intersection. As we take a look here, of course, everybody knows that's the Victor Mall right there at that intersection at Harrison Avenue and First Street. And again, when you see brick, there will be brick on the sidewalks, and so I think this is there's a few other intersections that a few people would want, but this is a big part of, Division Street, luckily, was taken care of a few years ago by ODOT with their sidewalk project down there. So now it's kind of worked your way into the downtown area, and Harrison First Street is used quite a bit.
Well, it's a hub. Yeah. I mean, if we're having events downtown, many events are held right in that area. People love to come and stroll through the downtown area, so obviously that's going to impact folks that have some of those limitations that we were talking about a few minutes ago. So I think it's great.
Here's a big one here as we take a look now at Oklahoma and First Street. Straight across, you see the post office, Bank First on the right, and then part of the downtown building there. Obviously, this is a huge hub, as you mentioned, First and Harrison. This one's even bigger.
Probably the busiest once you get off of Division.
Correct.
That is probably the busiest intersection in the downtown area, I would say.
Yeah, so that's a great one there. And then this one here at Wentz and Oklahoma. Of course, the last 2 pictures we showed you, also the parade route, not that that factors into it, but it is a lot of people walking and strollers and during parade events. So especially when we talk about the state's largest parade for 89ers. So here, this one's interesting here. This is Oklahoma and Wentz. And not only will this intersection go from that to ADA, but also those traffic signal lights will be coming down, and I do believe it will be a 4-way stop. So everyone will stop there. I thought 2 stop signs would be fine, but I'm sure there's some traffic engineers way above my pay grade that have actually taken a look at it a little bit closer than me. So I will go with their thought process. But 4-way stop sign, traffic signals lights coming out.
Yeah, and at first, and this has been the intersection that's been most talked about. since this
Correct.
came out, right?
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons, but I think the stoplights has a lot of people perplexed why we're taking them out, or why the city's taking them out, I should say. But and I even at first went, well, why would we do that? You know.
Right.
But again, it's much like I got asked when the work was being done on the sidewalks here down on Division in Oklahoma, and so I said, well, Phil, why'd they do that? I said, I have absolutely no idea. I'm not an engineer. I have no idea why they would do that. But you got to trust the experts, trust the people. This is what they do. I know I do. I trust them. These are all positive things. They're going to do nothing but make our community better.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma Wentz intersection with the traffic signal coming down, I think, because most of the times you actually have to sit there while, especially when you're on Wentz Street. So I think that will help out. I think it will help the flow of traffic on top of a safety intersection, but I think it will help move traffic, especially on school mornings. I'm out of the transportation for school duty nowadays, but as I become an older guy. But so I like those three now. There have been some conversations. It was published on Guthrie news page, and some people weren't very happy with some of the details. That's going to happen no matter what you do. I know one person really wanted to have the Cleveland and First Street, is that right, over by the American Legion. And again, like we talk about the pools and we talk about the ball fields, we're only allocated so much money to these intersections. And so the poster is correct who made the comment. It would be great to do that, but these three are probably a little bit more traveled. I know for me, I travel the three that we just went over a little bit more than that one over there. Not to take anything away from them.
Not at all. I mean, they're all, in a perfect world, we'd be able to do this everywhere in the community.
Correct.
This is the first step, like I said, it's you hit it right on the head. Everybody's got a reason for wanting something done in the area that they think it's most important. All valid reasons. I think what the city's doing is saying what are the most densely traveled, densely populated, or used areas, and those are the ones we're going to, is what it appears to me to be. Yeah,
and a few other comments. Obviously people see the headline and see pictures, don't really read articles, but, someone thought they were aiming to build a better pool. Well, you got to try to do a whole bunch with what you have, and so, so would people be willing to take these intersections away and put them toward the pool? I'm sure there's a handful of people that like that. There is. Like I said, everybody's got the thing that they're most passionate about. I know you're very passionate about the sports complex, the ball fields, and rightfully so. And we have people in the community that are very passionate about the pool, and that's wonderful. And but I think there are those things to me that are just, it's like common sense. You have to do it. ADA is one of those things. Yes.
That's just not up for debate.
Yeah.
We have to do those things.
A lot of people say no, leave it alone. Of course, there's a lot of people who love the idea. I love this idea as well. Someone says, no, leave it alone. This is the only stoplight in town. I don't get stuck. Well, actually, and I get that. There are times like, what am I? But with that light coming down, I think it will increase your traffic flow there.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. When we first talked about it, I just didn't really know, but my gut reaction was, well, I don't know if that's good. But the more we talked about it and I thought about it, I think that's better.
All right. All that, I'm not sure which intersection they're going with first, but the first intersection will begin on July 4th. So just around the corner here as we record this on July 3rd,
I bet they start with this one first. That way they can have it done before school.
Yes, that makes sense.
If they could have it done in that time frame, I would think they could.
I would think so, yeah.
So that would make sense, I think, and because that is going to be traveled more often with the junior high down the road, and that's kind of a thoroughfare for a lot of kids to get to the high school and just some of the different schools. So I think that would probably make the most sense.
That would make sense. So we look forward to the changes. We'll see how it all turns out. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. So a big thank you to the CIP committee that brought forward to that. The council ultimately made the decision. And now city staff can go out and start
do the real work.
Do the real work. So that'll do it here. Appreciate everyone checking us out. Don't forget to subscribe to Second Banana Media. Got podcasts like this and a whole lot of other fun stuff as well. So be sure to check us out on YouTube and also on Facebook at Second Banana Media. For Phil, I'm Chris. We'll talk to you next time.